Hey there, welcome to the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Miller, business strategist, mindset coach, and mom who refuses to believe you have to choose between scaling your business and having a life you love. If you've done the vision boards, downloaded the freebies, and still find yourself hustling harder than you want to admit, this show is for you. Each week, I share practical strategies mixed with subconscious rewiring and feminine energetics so you can attract clients, stabilize revenue, and grow your business in a way that actually feels good. Because you deserve consistent income and a life outside your laptop. Let's get into it. In today's episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast, we're going to be talking about 3 CEO mindset and energy habits that create predictable revenue and sustainable business growth into our old ways of being. So let's talk about this. If you ever wondered why some business owners seem to grow with ease while others keep hustling with little to show for it, this episode is definitely for you because we're going to uncover those things. And you're going to be seeing these little shifts that you can do today on top of the work that you're already doing. And you're going to see instant momentum. Because what separates a woman who scales with consistency from one who burns out on the way there isn't just her strategy, it's her habits. Today, I'm sharing 3 CEO mindset and energy habits that align how you think, plan, and show up. So your business finally starts growing in a way that feels steady, sustainable, and secure. These habits are exactly what I teach my clients inside your 6-figure year and inside the Profitable CEO Accelerator. Your 6-figure year is the program where structure meets energetics and success stops feeling like a moving target. So let's dive into these habits that you can adopt today. Hey, are you thinking about launching a podcast or taking yours to the next level? Juliana Barbati and her team are the experts you need. They take care of everything from episode funnel design to production and marketing, so you can focus on creating content that connects. Check out julianabarbati.com and mention I sent you. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm a high-achieving woman entrepreneur, Vanessa. I'm strategic, driven, and brilliant at what I do. But let me ask you, are you stuck in a pattern of hustle, inconsistency, and overthinking? Maybe you plan to slow down, but somehow your week fills itself up again. You likely crave freedom and consistency, but you don't quite trust that both can exist at the same time. So if that's you, you're definitely in the right place. But before we start breaking it down, let's talk about what this looks like in your real life. So likely you start the week determined to stay organized, but by Tuesday or maybe even Wednesday, you're answering DMs, fixing client issues, and jumping between ideas. I know the past version of me, it was like Sunday, I'm getting organized, I'm ready for Monday. And then Monday happens and it all unravels by the afternoon, or maybe sometimes even in the morning because I had to wake up the kids and, they're not doing their things. And so I let myself come undone instead of having a plan in place. Or maybe you try to outsource, but the thought of letting go makes you anxious. You want to control every aspect of your business because you think, what if they mess it up? What if they don't do it like I do it? You crave space to think, but guilt creeps in anytime you rest. There's that guilt and that shame. You're like, I must be doing something, or people are going to think that I'm lazy or that I'm not even trying to make an effort. And by Friday, your to-do list is longer than it was on Monday. Your creativity feels flat and you're still asking, what am I missing? And maybe that's when you're like, I just want to binge watch Netflix and drink a bottle of wine. This is what I call subtle sabotage. You're doing all the right things, but not from the right energy and identity, which this is actually very normal because of the programming that you're likely were raised with. And everyone has a set of rules or programming that they're raised with. From ages 0 to 7, we were like sponges and we were trying to figure out how to navigate the world based off of what we were modeled by our caregivers, by our parents, by the most significant people in our lives. And so this programming is showing up in today's world. Not to mention just that programming, but studies show that 14 generations of beliefs are actually embedded in our DNA, in our brainstem. So all this programming that you're living by from past generations and your upbringing makes sense of why some of the behaviors and habits that you currently have keep producing the results that maybe your ancestors had. But here's the thing. Now you are equipped and you have the tools and resources as well as access to the self-awareness to change these things, to rewire them and to rewrite your story. Because underneath all of this programming you were raised with, hard work is how you prove your worth. If you slow down, everything will fall apart. You're not working hard enough to deserve more. Or who do you think you are to want all of those things? You inherited the belief that success comes from constant effort. So rest feels unsafe, delegation feels risky, and ease feels unearned, or something that feels so delusional. But that belief is outdated and it's quietly capping your growth. Instead of pushing harder, I invite you to learn how to balance structure with energy. Because when your nervous system feels safe and your business is structured intentionally, your consistency becomes automatic. This is the exact balance I teach you inside your 6-figure year, where the strategy supports the energy and the energy amplifies the strategy. So now let's dive into the 3 CEO mindset and energy habits that will help you create predictable revenue and sustainable growth. Habit number 1. I freaking love this habit because this is what I realized needed to shift in my own business when not everything was working out. I was doing so many things. My focus was spread thin. And although I was doing a lot of things, if only I gathered these things together, this focus, this energy, this power, this effort, all in one area, I could have created so much more momentum a lot quicker. And that habit number 1 is to be intentional and deliberate. When you plan with intention, you protect your energy. This is exactly what the Balanced Work Week is about. This is what it's designed for CEO days that provide direction because you're doing the planning, you're doing the vision work, activating your imagination. And the doer days are for execution. So all the vision planning and goal setting that you've been doing during the CEO days, you start to execute that plan. And then the goddess days, those days are for creativity and recovery because you can't be at high beta all the time. You're going to burn yourself out. This is where you can tap into gamma if you want to access higher levels of consciousness, even if you need a rest and maybe get into theta or delta. When you live by your human design as well, not default, you stay focused on what actually moves revenue forward. Now, habit number 2, focus on what you do want. Habit number 2 pairs really well with habit number 1 because when you're being intentional and deliberate, you're executing from a place of intentionality and you are being methodical on how you're directing your energy and your focus. Now, with habit number 2, you want to focus on the positive part or what you're going towards. In NLP, we look at motivation in 2 different ways, toward motivation or away from motivation. Now, toward motivation is when you're looking forward toward what you want to go to, that goal that you have in mind. Away motivation looks like when someone is trying to avoid something, avoid a pain. And if you've been hanging around with me for a while on this podcast, then you know how I always talk about what you focus on, you program your reticular activating system to bring more evidence to you of that thing. So when you focus on what you do want, then you bring more of that into your reality. Your subconscious mind doesn't understand negatives. So if you say, I don't want inconsistent income, your brain still hears inconsistent income. Start using toward language. For instance, I'm creating consistent 15K months with ease or 20K months, whatever your number is. This keeps your focus and nervous system moving toward expansion instead of survival. Remember, we want to use more of toward language rather than away from language. In past episodes, I equate this to the whole horror movie scene where the woman is running through the forest, running away from the serial killer. And as she's running through the dark forest, she keeps looking over her shoulder. She's panicking. She's like screaming. And because she's looking over her shoulder to see where that guy is at, the serial killer, that pain, if you will, the away from, what she's running away from, she doesn't see that big tree log in front of her. And then what happens? She trips over it, collapses, and he catches her. That's what I mean by when you're only focused on what you're running away from. You want to focus on where we're going, because you never know when you're focusing on where you're going, when you're going to need to pivot, when you're going to need to be able to jump over that tree log. You have to have that awareness of the obstacles that are coming towards you so that you can navigate around them. Which brings me to habit number 3, being able to differentiate between facts and feelings. I believe that when you bring in your feelings into your planning, it is important. But when we are solely making decisions, especially after the fact, if we're trying to remedy something, a problem or obstacle that we ran into, when we try to remedy things with feelings after some kind of what we perceive as a failure or something that just messed up, I think of that saying, when emotions are high, intelligence are low. And so we need to understand the difference between what is a fact and what is a feeling. Because sometimes our feelings get so intense when something goes wrong in our business that we make decisions, again, off of that strong feeling instead of assessing the situation for data and facts. This is emotional intelligence in motion. When your business feels unstable, you need to know if you're reacting to facts or feelings. And are you reacting with facts or with feelings? The feminine feels, the masculine evaluates, and you need both. So an example is feeling. My launch is failing. And the fact is I'm 3 days in and 5% to goal. Sometimes we don't rationalize, or we don't look at the data and we start to make it feel like, oh my gosh, this is not good enough. Instead of looking at the data and be like, oh, wait, I am almost there, or I have made progress. So habit number 3, to be a successful CEO, this is something that you want to be able to learn, to slow down and differentiate between facts and feelings. When you regulate your emotions, you lead with discernment. And that's how stability is built. Even if you only start with one of these habits, being more intentional with your planning, you'll immediately feel more grounded and focused. So I want you to imagine this. You start to adopt these 3 different habits. Maybe you do them all at once, but in the future, what your life is going to look like is that you're going to be able to open up your laptop on Monday morning and know exactly what matters most. You're going to be making decisions from facts and not just feelings, so that you don't want to burn something down. You don't want to burn down your whole business and start all over again when you could have just done some little tweaks, or maybe actually really looked at the numbers and realized, hey, you're actually doing pretty well. And your week is going to feel so much calmer, not chaotic, because again, you are already being an intentional, deliberate CEO within your business, and you're able to focus on what you do want. And then you have space for clients, creativity, and yourself. I mean, what was the whole point of creating this business if you weren't going to have time for yourself? Most of the times, entrepreneurs create their own business because they want the time freedom to choose how they spend their time, resources, energy, and money. And you get to wrap your workday early because your systems are running in the background. Or a lot of times when you're intentional and deliberate and you've adopted these habits, what you realize is that you get into a routine, a rhythm. And this repetition actually is so beneficial so that you can create repeatable results. I always tell my clients, predictable behaviors create predictable revenue. And all of this is going to help your business feel secure because it's finally built on foundations that support you and not drain you. If this episode resonated, your next step is super simple. I want you to take my quiz, What's Your Business Energetic Archetype? The link is in the show notes, and what you'll discover is which energy pattern is currently running your business and the first step to align your strategy and habits for consistent, sustainable growth. Once you know your archetype, you'll understand how to balance your structure and flow. And then this is the same framework we expand inside your 6-figure year. So head on over to the show notes. It takes about 2 minutes and you'll unlock other resources to help you in your business. All right. Catch you next time on the next episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. And please remember to follow so that we can reach more people like you. All right. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Ann Miller, and I'm so excited to share some goodies with you. Head over to the show notes so you can grab your free gift, and make sure to leave a review and join me inside the Aligned Businesswoman Facebook group. Until next week, bye-bye, my love. Loving these podcasts? Want to take things deeper? Did you know I was able to grow my business by 3,000% in less than 1 year? By strategically setting up my business and my schedule for success. Check out my free download, How to Write an Energetically Aligned Business Plan, where I take you through the routines and rituals that set me up for success. You'll be able to discover what has helped my clients double their revenue in 90 days and what helped me grow my business by 3,000% in less than 1 year. Visit vanessaandmiller.com/CEO-day.